Hi guys, hi everyone. I hope you guys are doing great because we are feeling blessed and highly favored. Now my name is Tshwanelo Shi, and I'm here with
Johnson Shi.
Welcome to the third episode of The Diary of Two, the podcast. If it's your first time seeing my face, seeing my husband's face, or coming across this channel, you are welcome. Thank you for choosing to tune in once again. But if you're a regular or a subscriber, thank you for choosing to tune in once again. If you are new, I hope you like what you see and you decide to stay.
Stay, guys, stay.
Stay, no, please do stay. It's nice over here. So this is the third episode, and we are talking love and money. What have you got to say about that?
Woman's best friend, hey?
Money is a woman's best friend.
Is it not? After husband.
Well, I would say money is everybody's best friend.
Okay.
Right?
Well, technically, yeah.
Technically, it should be. It has to be.
Well, there is some interlink, right? So the previous episode, we did touch on, is love enough? Love is definitely not enough. It's not like we're going to eat each other. Maybe, some of us do, but, you're not going to eat each other forever, right?
Yeah.
You need to actually go out there and hustle and get money so that you can sustain yourself.
Yeah.
So this is what we're delving into, which is the money part, because we've heard so many stories of people getting divorced, people breaking up, people having issues because of money itself, and it's such a sensitive topic. It's like a religion, basically.
True.
Also because people praise money at the end of the day, so that's why it's so sensitive. But again, we can't live without it, unfortunately.
Hey, one thing about money, we all need it.
True.
At every stage of your life, we need money.
Exactly.
And money is a big factor in relationships.
Very big.
Money
very
can
big.
make or break a relationship, right?
True.
And just like you said, I think one of the biggest reasons why people separate or get a divorce or the relationship doesn't work out is because of money.
Yeah. And I think also another point why we're delving into this topic is because people often mistake, especially for women, I think, and for guys, but like for mainly women, like you would date a rich guy or person who's sustaining himself because of money. But yes, you also want somebody who's self-sufficient at the end of the day. Yeah. But it's just how you go about it, and what's the meaning behind it. Like at the end of the day, women are looking long-term, right? You're looking at your future, you're looking at your kids, you're looking at the lifestyle that you're going to have. So all of that comes into play. So it's not entirely wrong that you're looking at a guy who's financially okay, but it's also wrong if it's all about money, basically.
Yeah.
If it's all about money, then I would suggest rather don't have kids. If you want to enjoy the party and enjoy the money, enjoy the party and enjoy the money. But let's be on the same page.
I'm with you.
I'm here for whatever I'm here for. You are here for whatever you are here for. We're not creating anything. We're not creating a family or whatever it is. But we need to define what it is that we're here for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. So let us get right into it. Or were you already into it?
I was already getting into it.
The first thing I'd like to say about money is you need to be honest about your financial situation at the beginning of the relationship. You need to disclose your financial situation or stance, right?
Yeah.
Like for instance, if you are getting into a relationship with someone and you've got debts, you have to disclose those.
Of course.
Especially if the relationship is now at the marriage stage.
Yeah.
You'd want to disclose that, okay, so I've got this loan. I took out a loan to buy a car. I took out a loan. I took out a student loan. I took out a student loan to for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's important to be honest and forthcoming when it comes to money. And if you know that you are trying to build long term.
Yeah, I think also the essence behind that is often when people date, it's all fun and games in the beginning. It's all sunshine and rainbow, right? It's all enjoying each other's presence in each other's, creating memories and stuff like that. We don't actually get into the nitty-gritty of finances because, again, that determines the lifestyle you're going to have if you commit to each other, if you guys get married, if you get into a serious relationship, right? And often we don't ask certain questions that could help us see and actually fit the puzzle together to see whether or not this person is actually somebody who want to have a long-term relationship with, you know. And we fail in that regard. I feel a lot of people fail. We also, but at least we knew where we stood. We were both students. We were both not financially okay, but we knew each other as to where we are going. Yeah. Of which that's a big thing to know. You know, True. It's good to have ambition. It's too good to have goals, and it's also more important to have plans to get there. Yeah. Otherwise, it's all big game. You know, it's all talk. You know, and it's not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I feel like also it's important that you disclose whatever loans, whatever financial history you've got, because moving forward, you guys are most likely to put your finances together. Right?
Of course.
Even if you are, let's say, married out of community of property, like you don't share anything. Now, let's just take it into the marriage perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Your partner needs to know if whether you are paying for a loan of some sort, right? So that they know how much to expect from you on a monthly basis. They know how much, they know about all your expenses, right? Mm-hmm. It's not nice to expect your partner will tell you that I earn this much, but they only bring home 50% of that money. Yeah. And you don't know what happened to the other 50.
True.
Right. And then, but disclosing it like, hey, this is what I'm paying for, this is what I'm taking care of, is important so that the honesty in finances makes things easier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. Disclosing everything just makes the relationship gel.
Yeah. And also, that becomes also very sensitive in the sense that if I don't disclose, for instance, if I have a loan of maybe I've got 3 properties, I've got 2 cars that I'm paying, and they're all bonded, right? And if I don't disclose it, if we get in a serious relationship or if we decide to get married, remember there's also anti-nuptials and all these things that come into play. And if, for instance, I'm not able to afford them and we get married, you are also indebted in that. Yeah. So it's good. It's very important that we disclose that. Yeah. You know, so that we, like we said, we are aware, and in that way we can plan ahead of what it is we can do about it.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. The next thing I feel is important to disclose are your financial responsibilities. You know, for instance, some people, when you get married, you already have siblings that you are taking care of.
Yes, yes.
Other people, you already have a child. You had a child before you got married. So you are maintaining that child, right? Or chances are you are supporting your parents.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So if you've got financial responsibilities, put them forth, disclose them. Let your partner be aware of them before you guys make the decision to get married and put your finances together.
Definitely. In that way, it also makes your partner aware of what commitments you have and how much responsibility you have, and how we can mitigate or change the circumstance. For instance, you've got other siblings. Now that, for instance, we're getting into a serious relationship or I'm getting married, this is what I can afford. Yes. How can you help me out? So that we can speak amongst as a family, but us as a collective first, as a partnership first, so that we know where we are going.
I like that. Because also something that you need to consider is that we come from different backgrounds, right? Other people, you might find that the family is well off, financially stable, so the person is only taking care of themselves, right? And then you get married to someone who has to take care of family, who has to take care of children, who has to take care of parents. So in that way, you guys need to sit down and talk about how are we going to do it moving forward? Because now it is no longer your expenses, it is our expenses, right? So how do we fit those expenses into our current financial state?
Of course.
Other things, sometimes it's much easier, I would say, to take care of family, siblings, when you are not married yet, right? Because you feel like that's the only responsibility you've got outside of course, taking care of yourself and your own needs. But once you get married, there's going to be that decrease in the money that you give to the family, because now you've got your own responsibility, you've got your own home, you've got your own family to take care of. I'm not saying with that you completely stop taking care of your family, because sometimes your family is only depending on you. Yeah. Right. So I think the best thing that comes out of disclosing your financial responsibilities prior to getting married, when you are getting ready to get married, is for you guys to see how to fit it into
your relationship.
Yeah. Also, to also look at whether you can fit it in, or you guys might agree to not continue with those responsibilities.
Yes. Because you as a couple, remember, you're coming into a couple and you're going to have expenses of your own. And if that expense that you had before or are expected to pay, if it's not according to you guys' plan, or if it doesn't benefit you in any way, then it doesn't make sense to continue paying it.
For sure.
Then you'd have to disclose to whoever you're paying it for, whether it's relative, whether it's a friend, or whatever it is. You need to disclose them that I think it's best that we close this because it's not going to benefit you or myself, and it's actually going to harm our relationship. Because now, if I don't disclose it, that's number one, it's a problem.
Yeah.
And if I find out later and you're continuing paying it, and we are suffering, it'll make me question, like, why did you not disclose it? Why are you still paying for it? How are you benefiting in this regard?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's very important in that regard. But also with that, love, I think it's also important, like you were speaking about, speaking as a couple about how you guys were raised financially.
Yeah.
Because in that way, you knew how you grew up. You know now what sort of lifestyle you have, and also what lifestyle you're committed to creating as a collective.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, and also how to change. Remember, you have your background of how you were raised financially. I have my background of how I was raised financially. And in that way, how are we creating a new way so that we are agreeing, and also for our kids to agree that they are going to have this type of lifestyle.
Yeah. So adjusting.
Adjusting. Because remember, you, for instance, in our example, is that you were in the township. I was in a suburban area. What type of schools are we going to send them? Remember, when we brought our kids into the suburban areas, the school fees were already 3 times more.
Yeah.
And remember, there's extramurals, there's other activities and all of that comes into play. So it's way more expensive. And how are we going to plan according to that? And how we're going to afford it if you have these type of commitments towards your family and stuff like that. Yeah,
I think with that, it's important that when I come and I disclose the kind of responsibilities I have, I'm open to knowing that it's possible that we might have to cut it off. Right? Because the problem we have, I feel, is that usually if I come and tell my husband, love, I've got this responsibility, I've got 1, 2, 3 that I'm taking care of. And then when you're like, okay, fine, let's look at the financials. Does it fit into, can we afford it? Can we still do it? And if we both deem that it's not really that important, but you might find that I'm still fighting for myself to take care of this responsibility, even though I can see that we cannot afford it.
Yeah.
Right? For instance, you find someone taking care of their siblings, because maybe they worked first because they're older, right?
Yeah.
So they take care of their siblings, but now their siblings are at a point where they also can take care of themselves.
Yes.
But you are still holding on to supporting them, even though you know that they don't really need the
Your
money.
hand,
Also
yeah.
because you feel like they are so used to you giving them the money that you feel like it might break the relationship between you guys if you stop supporting them or something like that.
Of course.
So I think it's important to know that with you disclosing the kind of responsibilities you've got, there's a chance that your husband might not agree to you continuing to support, because there might not be a need, honestly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Another case in point is that don't be sold, guys. People will sell you dreams. Men can sell you dreams. Boys can sell you dreams. Even women can sell you dreams. But I believe mainly men, because men are the providers, right? You'll find people or boys in general that have nice cars, but they don't have a home. They don't have a property. They don't have an apartment, but they have a very fancy car. What is that teaching you? Where's his priorities?
Yeah.
What is the car for? Okay, he got you because of the car, but where are you going to sleep? Where's your kids going to sleep? Where are your parents going to visit you? Where's your relatives going to do umsebenzi if there is works needed to be done? Also with that, it's important to also have the chat with your partner beforehand that what it is and how do you earn your income? Where's your source of income coming from? Because we know in society these days, in South Africa, scam peoples are plenty. Not only that, scam artists are on the one hand, right? You have another scenario where you have lotto winners, you have inheritance kids, right? Yes, they have the lifestyle to sustain themselves for now. But if we get into a serious relationship, where are we going? What is it you doing to sustain yourself in the long term, because this money will add at some point.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? What are you planning? Or how are you envisioning your future to be like? And how is our future going to look like as a collective now?
That is true. That is so true. You mentioned something important, that you need to know your partner's source of income.
Yeah. Even if you don't highlight, don't give the direct, maybe you don't want to disclose too much of, for instance, you're in a high position.
Yeah.
You work with high network clients and you have to be very confidential, right? You can, highlight it is what you do, But if this thing, hey, J, you are doing funny things, and Ning, I bring you stuff always, it's questionable. So you need to suss out, and Ning say, can I visit you, or how can I bring something to your workplace,
So that you know where your partner works.
Yeah.
So okay.
There's ways around it, right? That's what I'm essentially trying to say, is that there's a way around it to find out exactly where it is you work, what it is you do, even if you're confidential about it. Yeah, and how much roughly these people earn,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Something else that's important is you need to disclose. It's very similar to what you just said. When you are married, I believe it's important to disclose all the money coming in your account and all the money coming out.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's simpler that way. Obviously, you don't have to account for every cent.
Yeah.
But now you can't be moving 10,000 from your account every month without me knowing what it's for.
Yeah.
You know, so it's important to disclose that. Going back to the loans, if you're going to take out 10,000 from your account every month, at least if I know that he's got that loan, that student loan that he's still paying for, he's got that car loan that he's still paying for, even if maybe let's say the car was written off and there was no insurance or whatever, but I know that you're still paying for the 10,000 rand. So it's important to account so that I know what you're spending your money on. Right?
Of course.
It's very similar to the point that you just made. It's important. Disclose. Don't just take out 5,000 rands every month and no one knows what it's for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important. Obviously, this is a discussion for debate, in that, Steve Harvey was talking about different accounts, but there should be a joint account where all the money that you earn together, whether it's from your income, whether what I earn has to come into that account.
Yeah, I think let's do that one just now.
Okay.
Let's do that one because it's broad.
Yes.
So I want us to stay on it for quite some time because I've got something about that. So there's something else of disclosed salary. This one is a bit tricky.
It is tricky.
I know other people don't
disclose.
think it's best that you disclose your salary. But I don't know. For me, I think it's important that once you marry someone, once you are stable with someone, once you're committed to someone, I've always said that my view is you need to both bring your pay slips to the table. If you are not working a job, if you have a business or you are self-employed, your financial statement. Yeah. Right? Bring your finances on the table. Let me see how much you make and disclose how much you make. In that way, you are able to share and you're able to share responsibilities in a fair manner.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because imagine now, I don't know how much you make. You don't know how much I make. Next thing, chances are I will expect that you make more than me.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's say, let's put ourselves in this scenario. I imagine that you make more than me. And then I give you a lot of responsibilities. You have to pay for the bond. You have to pay for the car installments. You have to pay for insurance, right? You have to pay for school fees. Yeah. I'm only going to buy the food. I'm only going to be responsible for maybe the kids' extramurals and stuff like that. So I give myself the lesser expenses. You take the bigger expenses. Only to find out a few years down the line, I actually make double what you make. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So I think to avoid being unfair, it's important that you both bring your financials forth so that you both know how much you each make. And then you can delegate responsibilities fairly.
Of course.
That if I make more than you, I obviously will have to carry more financial responsibility, right? Yes. Because it's not really because now you are my husband, you have to do more, even if you earn less than me, right? So in that scenario, I think it's important that you disclose so that you can.
Of course. And also, remember that also, I know it's a topic for another day, but how you carry yourself, if you as the lady earn more than me as a husband, right? But because we're doing this as a partnership, let's be fair play. Let's discuss, like we are saying. Let's disclose what it is we earn, and let's see how we are going to afford each other and how we are moving forward as a collective, in the sense that who's taking care of the bond? Okay, maybe you earn more. Okay, will you be able to take care of that? And I mustn't look down on you because you're doing that, or feel small because you're doing it. At the end of the day, we must be looking as a family. We're doing this as a family so that we can grow collectively, right? But like I'm saying, it's important to disclose that so that everybody knows what responsibilities, because also with not defining what each responsibility is, we won't get anywhere. Also, we won't know where we are going, because like you're saying, you can find out 3 years later that you earn more and I was earning less. Here I was suffering because maybe I also didn't disclose that maybe they cut my salary, maybe they took away the car or whatever, car insurance or vehicle that they give from the company or whatever it is, and in that way I have to take up another loan, of which it strains, if I don't disclose it, strain me rather than you. In that way it strains us, from me not disclosing.
I feel like with all the points we are making, they all literally go back to disclosure. Disclosure and financial disclosure and financial transparency, because in that way you are able to avoid a lot of things. Right. Even
with financial planning as a marriage couple, I believe you have to disclose everything in order for them to help you in the best possible manner. Because if you're hiding something, they can't help you to the best of their ability.
Of course.
They'll find it out later. They'll find out how did you not succeed? How did you not make it work? Only to find out, for instance, you took out another loan or whatever it is, to support some other fee that you were trying to pay off,
my other thing, there's something that I don't sometimes understand about couples. You already do everything together. Why is it so difficult to disclose your financial situation? Right? If I'm marrying you, if I'm getting married to you, I'm giving my life to you, I'm trusting you with my life, I'm trusting you with myself. Why should there be something that we do not disclose? Right? Sure. I feel like to a certain extent, men don't normally disclose sometimes. I feel like it's not as easy for a man to disclose his financial situation because he's worried that his woman will gauge if whether he can afford her. So sometimes, going back to your point, men will sell women dreams because they don't want it to be known how much they make, how much they are worth, right? Whereas I feel like that is not fair now on the woman, because chances are the man will, at the beginning of the relationship, prior to marriage, make sure that he spoils you, he takes care of everything, he fills your petrol tank, he takes care of business, right? And then you as a woman, you've got this picture now in your mind that no, this guy can take care of me, can take care of everything. Next thing you get married and you find out that he's living off of loans, he's not making enough, he can't even sustain himself, right? So it's difficult then, and it's unfair then to get someone, to attract someone in that way, right? True. Whereas if you disclose and you're honest with the person while you guys are dating, when you're dating, you're not really obliged to disclose your salary and your financial statement and stuff like that. But it's important to show your partner the kind of lifestyle that you can afford. Don't oversell yourself. Right? Don't oversell yourself as if you can afford 4 vacations a year, you can afford to eat out every day type of thing, if you know that you cannot afford that. Because what happens is, in the woman's mind, it's already registering that no, this guy can afford me. This guy can afford the type of lifestyle I like. And in the worst case scenario, a woman might not even be interested in those things. She might not even be watching that. But then you accustom her to that type of lifestyle. You make her used to that kind of lifestyle. So in her mind, when we married, I guess he'll be able to take care of this, that, and the other. Next thing you get married and you find out this person is broke. Because remember also, people don't educate themselves. I think Penwell or somebody spoke about it with somebody else. I don't know if it was Nicolette or who, in the sense that it's so much easier for you to get a car loan than a home loan. Why is that? Because like you're saying, a person can afford a car, maybe a GTI, whatever it is. They call it the panty dropper. In that way you can get the girl, but it eats away 80% of your salary. That time you can only fill petrol and you can only eat for the rest of the month.
you don't have any other commitments and you can't commit to anything else, because in that way you'd be killing yourself.
True.
But you're selling the women dreams. So that's why it's important to disclose it. Again, it goes back to that point of disclosing it. And also planning, okay, now that we're in a committed relationship, don't you think maybe we should sell the car? Get rid of this bad debt so that we can try and see if we can afford an apartment, since we are coming in as a collective and we've already disclosed what it is you earn, what I earn, and together, what can we afford?
I hear you. It's important to be transparent, guys, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're like, if only I knew.
Yes, yeah. And sometimes it's a bit too late.
Usually.
And you don't want to be in that situation, of course.
You don't want to find yourself being in a place where you're like, if I knew, I would have planned better. I would have done things better, right? Obviously, we all cannot foresee the future.
Yeah.
But you can gauge.
Of course.
You can gauge, like, where are we going with this? So I would say it's important also, prior to getting married, when you know you are planning to getting married and sharing your life with someone, you need to have financial discipline.
Definitely.
Right? You need to discipline yourself. Even if you know there's... The funny thing is that sometimes there are people who make a lot of money. Like, let's say I make 50% of your salary, right? You make, like, let's say, for instance, a month you bring in 150K. I bring in 50K a month, right? You and I are not married, but I'm more responsible. With my 50K, I'm able to pay for so much and sustain myself, and I'm able to live a good life. Yes. With your 150K, you can't.
Yeah.
Well, by the time your salary comes, you already are broke.
True.
Right? Because you don't have financial discipline. You don't have financial education. So I think it's important, once you tell yourself that you're going to get into marriage, remember, once you get into marriage, you no longer are responsible for only your needs. You're going to be responsible for your spouse's needs, your children's needs, the home as well, right?
True.
So if you discipline yourself, comes, no matter how much you make, you can try and live the kind of life that you wish to live with discipline.
Yeah, it reminds me of this series that we're watching on Netflix, I Can Make You Rich by Rami, right? In the sense that we need to find out, what is your rich life? What is my rich life? And what rich life are we trying to create?
Yeah.
It also reminds me of this other show that we were watching recently, a local, setup, where they brought in a financial planner. He says that a lot of the people are out there, you think they are rich because of the lifestyle they're living. But that person can be earning, like you are saying, 150,000. But is actually in debt of 200,000 every month. Can you see that already he's at a lower level than us, who are earning less but are disciplined, and we can afford our lifestyle, and we're not committing to things that we can't commit to.
True.
So there is a big difference in that regard.
Yeah. I like the point you mentioned about, since there's two of us in the marriage, the way you think a rich life is different from the way I think.
Yes.
And it's important that you disclose, in my mind, this is when I will feel that I'm rich.
Yes.
And then you also come with your perception of, in my mind, this is when I think we'll be comfortable. Because you might find that I'm coming into the marriage and I'm thinking, if we can just buy okay, for us we need, like, if we can just get a 7-bedroom house and just 2 cars, like nothing fancy, I'm okay with that. And then you come in and you're like, no, I want a 3-story house, 10 bedrooms, and I want us to drive the latest year model car every year.
Yeah,
that's my rich, right? It's important that you disclose, so I know whenever you are working, I know that you are working towards that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because if we don't disclose, I will relax and think, we already have the 6-bedroom house, so why am I stressing? Like, I don't have to work so hard.
Yeah.
Whereas in your mind, you are working hard and you're not even, like, giving me some time. Sometimes you are too busy because you are chasing the 3-story mansion with 6 garages or whatever, right? But should we disclose, we both work towards the same.
Yes.
Right? Chances are, when we sit down and talk about it, you tell me your reasons why you want the mansion. I tell you the reasons why I think the 6-bedroom is enough, right? And then we meet, we find common ground, and then we both work towards the same thing.
Of course. That reminds me of the story of Acrimony, where Taraji was the one earning money and she had an inheritance on top of that.
I don't know, love. Do you want to give us a backstory of what the movie is about? Because I don't think, maybe some people didn't.
Some people,
watch
ne? Okay, go watch the movie, guys. But let me give you a brief, right? So the woman, she got inheritance from her mom, and then she was dating somebody, right? And the guy wanted to do this business of some battery thing that he believed that was going to succeed, and of which she was supporting him. They got married, and she still had to continue supporting him until he didn't succeed when they were still married. You know, the relatives, the sisters and everything will keep on telling her to leave this guy because he's not going to succeed, and he's not trying to find work, and he's not trying to do anything but trying to make this battery thing work, this business work. Eventually they got a divorce, and he met a previous ex of which she had a fallout with, and then he succeeded eventually with that battery thing because apparently this new girl that he was dating, you know, knew the guy in the investment firm or whatever it is that could help him pop the battery thing. And eventually it did, and he started having the lifestyle that he've always talked to his wife about, right? But then he couldn't give it to his ex-wife. He had to give it to this new girl, right? Of which, yeah, that's a debatable thing of who should get what and stuff like that. But essentially, my point of that movie is this thing of men and the financial clocks. You know, how long is it that they're supposed to get? For instance, they're working on a specific business. How long do they get from a woman's perspective to succeed in that thing that they're trying to do? And when is it time for us to have a discussion to say that, hey, this thing's not going to work.
Yeah.
Let's try another solution. Maybe do it on the side and find work. But he was not. He was firmly just believing in that this thing will work.
Yeah.
It's fortunate that it worked out, but just the timing. Because remember, men are on a financial clock. Women are on a biological clock. Remember, your eggs and stuff like that will come into play at an older age, right? So it's important to have kids when you're young and when you're still fit and able. For men, they also don't want to commit when they are not financially okay. So this thing is debatable, but you know, it's things like these that I feel like we need to talk about and disclose also to people who are getting into relationships and marriages to know in order for them to succeed in their marriages. You know, it's difficult, but I feel like it's still important to teach and highlight when or how much time should a guy get.
Yeah, you know, for me, when I watched Acrimony, hey, you and I have had a long debate about this. I feel like, the producers, the writers, Tyler Perry just wanted us to fight about it because we all cannot seem to agree on who was wrong in Acrimony, right? For me, it also goes back to when Taraji, the main character, started dating this guy. Is his name Noah or something? I don't remember his name.
I don't remember.
But I think so. When they started dating, remember the guy was staying in is that a trailer or what? I don't know what you call it. But in South Africa, it would be umkuk.
Yeah.
You know. So she already came from a good... financially, she came from a good home. The guy didn't.
Yeah.
Right. So also, that's something you also look at, like what happens there.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Leading to them getting married. Her marrying him, knowing that he has no financial stability. He has no source of income. He's got no money.
Yeah.
You know. Hey, what's that? You know, how do we do that? Like,
yeah, it's difficult.
Do we marry people who don't have money at all? But also there's that thing of, you mentioned that how long do you wait for someone's dream to come true?
Yes.
Because you do want to marry someone who has goals, plans, and
ambition.
is putting the plans in motion to make sure that they can make money, even if they are not making money today, right? Because, like, for instance, Taraji's boyfriend, his circumstances were not his fault.
Yeah.
That he had no money and stuff like that because he was young.
Yes.
And even Taraji, it was just her luck that she was born in a good family, right?
And she got the inheritance from the mom.
Exactly. I'm just saying, like, at the point where they met, where you meet a person doesn't determine their future.
Of course.
Where a person comes from doesn't determine their future, right? Sometimes you meet someone at their lowest.
Yeah.
But once you guys get married and things are in motion, the person progresses and becomes successful financially, right? So my thing is going back from the beginning of the relationship between Taraji and the guy before they got married. Because remember, when they first met, fine, they were already on different financial positions. They get married. He is holding this badge and is saying one day it's going to make him money.
Yeah.
Taraji has to work 2 jobs to make sure that she supports herself and this man.
Yeah.
They even get to a point where she has to sell her mother's home that she inherited from the mother just so that she can take care of this guy.
Yeah.
All the inheritance they finish
gone.
it because she's working so hard. So
Yeah.
I like the point you are making of, as much as the person has plans and a vision, how long do you wait?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like being a creative, right? Being a musician, an actor, an actress,
Yeah.
a content creator, you don't know how long it's going to take until you succeed,
Definitely.
right? So it's a waiting game. You put in the work and there's a chance that you might never even make it.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So the question of how long do you wait is important. It's just that I don't know if anyone would actually be able to answer it.
Yeah. It's very difficult. Like I'm saying, it's a very sensitive topic. But on that notion that, this thing of a business, a relationship, a marriage is also a business itself.
True.
What you're putting in, not necessarily that you'll get out, but you must keep investing in it. If you have faith in it, if you really love the person, and if you want things to work, right? But going back to that movie, I would say, in my personal view, that I think 3 years is the max anybody should go. Obviously, like we were saying, there's no right or wrong answer here.
Yeah.
It's debatable, this thing. But, most cases in businesses, 3 years is how long it takes for businesses to actually foresee if it's actually sustainable.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be a reliable business. So anything beyond that, hey, that's on you guys. That's when we have to start discussing, hey, let's try and do other things and maybe do this on the side.
Yeah, but
But it's a sensitive one.
Yeah, it's a very sensitive one. If you haven't seen the movie Acrimony, please check it out. Because, wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
And there you don't know if it's love or if it's what. What is it? Is it love?
Who loves who?
That's the thing. Who loves who there?
Yes, I don't know also,
Because during the end of the movie, you can still see the guy still loves her.
Also,
I mean, he
believe
wouldn't.
that he loved her.
No, I'm not saying that he loved her. She loved him.
Did
But
he
I
love
feel like
her?
she overcommitted herself in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
And there were signs also, in, like you are saying, they came from different backgrounds. But again, you don't want to hold that and you don't want to attach that to the person that our future will still be like this.
Yeah.
You want to give the person
A chance.
the benefit of the doubt as well. So it's in all aspects, the whole movie is debatable.
The whole movie is debatable because you don't know. Someone might come in and say, you must marry someone who comes from the same background as you financially.
True.
Especially, I feel like, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, and I do stand to be corrected. People who raise their kids in financially stable homes, they always advise that their children get married to people who are in the same position to avoid
These type of things,
these type of problems. The thing is, unfortunately, the heart wants what it wants.
True.
No matter how logical you can be about it, the heart wants what it wants. And sometimes you may look down on someone who comes from a family that is not as financially stable as yours, but the person in future becomes more successful than you and your family combined.
True.
Right? So you really cannot judge someone
Yeah.
by looking at them today and say, in the next 2 years, you'll be in the same position.
Because also it goes back to this thing of what you always say about sometimes your success comes through the partner that you're going to meet.
Yes.
You don't know. That's the thing.
Yeah,
It's about having
yeah.
faith, having dedication, having discipline, in order for that thing to succeed. Yeah.
Now, let's get into Steve Harvey, your guy. Right? So Steve Harvey says it's important that as a married couple, you guys must have 4 bank accounts. Right? The first one he speaks of is the joint account,
Yeah.
where he explains it as you both put your salaries, you both deposit your salaries into the joint bank account, which takes care of
All your needs. I mean, all your basics. Yeah.
basics being
School fees, petrol, bond, cars, school fees, insurance, medical aid, all the things to get you by on a month-to-month, basically. Those are the needs.
Do you agree with that?
To a certain extent, yes. Right? Because those are the things that are going to take care of your family, first and foremost.
Yes.
Before you even start talking about savings, before you even start talking about investments, before you even start talking about family trips and new car, new houses and all of that other stuff, your daily needs to be taken care of.
Yes.
So that we can be on the same page to say that, hey, we are okay. We
Yeah.
can sustain ourselves for the month.
Yeah,
You
I also agree. I agree with it as well, because in Cyril's economy, if you're in South Africa, Cyril's economy is not easy on anyone, right? back in the day, it was easier for the man to be the only provider and the mom to be the nurturer at home. The husband's salary was enough to sustain everyone.
Yeah.
But right now, the husband has to work, 10 times harder in order for him to be able to take care of the family and let his wife take care of the home. Right? It's not like before. Now things are expensive. School fees is expensive. Houses are crazy expensive. Right?
And remember, food always increases like almost every second month.
I will.
Because diesel and petrol goes up also every now and then.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, they'll go up by 1 rand, but they drop it by 10 cents.
And then school fees goes up by a certain percentage
10% every year.
Every year. I mean, guys,
We're not complaining, guys. We're just stating.
It's not a complaint, but it's facts. I mean, I'm sure most of our audience are married and they have children, or one of the two. They know what's up.
Yeah,
you guys know what's up.
Yeah.
Even if you're not married, petrol affects you.
True.
School fees affects you because, like we mentioned at first, some people are taking care of their siblings. Some people are taking care of their parents. Bread. Right now, just a month ago, we were complaining about the price of eggs.
Yay, guys. I know.
And I was watching, I was watching a podcast and someone was mentioning that there's already rumors that chickens are going to be expensive in December because there's going to be a limited supply.
Yeah.
So you can imagine.
Yeah, it's crazy, guys.
So I think for me, the joint salaries is a very important thing because in Cyril's economy, it's difficult to have only one party working. Even if it's not only salaries like we mentioned. Sometimes you might be running a business. Sometimes you might be a creative, right? So whatever money you make, when the invoices, that thing, when you get your money from brands and whatever, I think it's important that you put the money together so that the most important things at home are taken care of.
Let me just correct you there slightly, love. Not only all salaries. Maybe, for instance, the husband is only the working. Let's not minimize it to salaries only, because it's important that like we are saying, in Cyril's economy, it's important to have multiple sources of income, and of which that must come together to the account so that we know what it is we are earning.
Yeah, hence I'm saying that the both salaries and both, so even if you have
all
financial
sources of income
statement,
yes,
put,
yeah,
all sources of money from all sources of income
comes to the joint account together.
Yes, I agree because in that way I think you can never really relax but it's a bit better knowing that the money is in, the bond is taken care of, we still have a home, the cars are taken care of, the insurance is taken care of, medical aid is good, because I believe basic expenses in every household are very similar. Right. You're in your house, maybe you might not have an investment. That's the only difference. In our house we have it, but that's taking care of the basics makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to find yourself going on vacation, but the car installment didn't go through.
True. Or it clocks back.
That's now irresponsible.
Yeah. That's now irresponsible.
That's now very irresponsible. You also don't want to find yourself being on vacation for December, right? It's December now. It's holidays. The kids are going on holiday. We are taking them wherever we are taking them. Next thing, it's Jan. Your child doesn't have stationery. Your child doesn't have school uniform. Your child, the school fees is not up to date. You last paid in September. So it's January now. The child has to go to school. You don't have anything, but you had leisure. You made sure that your child has a good holiday. So that's where now responsibility comes in, where the most important things must be taken care of first.
Yes.
So the joint account is number one.
Of course.
On the list. I agree with Steve Harvey on that point.
I also agree, yeah.
Okay. Now, the second account he says you must have as a married couple is a savings account. Do you want to elaborate on that?
For me, the part that I disagree with is the savings account before the other two accounts. I feel like the other two accounts are more important than the savings account.
Which two accounts?
Remember, there's 4 accounts, right? So the first one is the joint account. The second one is the savings account. The other 2 are each individual's account. So I feel like those are more important to have as an individual, because in that way you can do your recreational things. Like we were talking about previously, that you still have your individuality that you want to do. For instance, you want to buy a book, you want to go to a book club, you want to go hiking. You still need to do that in order to keep sane, right? Same with myself. For instance, I want to go to a tournament or basketball, whatever it is, I must be able to do that. The problem with why I say it is more important, because sometimes savings, it's difficult, like we are saying in Cyril's economy, but it's important because when you think of it long term, you could get way ahead of yourself. In the saying that compound interest is the same thing as savings, that eventually it'll accumulate and you'll be surprised of how much you saved up, right?
Yes.
But in the short-term game, you won't feel like, it's important. And that's why I'm saying it's more important than the other one. But
so in your
technically,
savings is the last one.
Yeah, but technically speaking, it's actually the second one, because you're thinking long-term.
So in your opinion, how would you have it?
No, in my opinion, I still see it as correct that it's the second one.
So you don't.
But in my heart, I don't. Yeah, I wish that it was the other way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See, for me, I fully agree with the savings account being the second priority.
Okay.
Because as much as we pay for medical aid to make sure that should something happen to the child, we know it's covered. But to be honest, we all know that medical aids don't cover everything.
Of course.
Right. And also, you don't know how severe the damage might be.
Of course.
Or how much medical help you or a child might need at home. Right.
Yeah.
So savings account for me comes in because emergency funds, anything can happen anytime. Right. Even if maybe you insure your house and then it burns. And then when you speak to, insurance as well. When you speak to insurance, they tell you about fine print, something that you missed.
Yeah.
That they told you that they can't cover the house if this and that happens. And then you find that those happened. True. And then the house burnt. What are you going to do? You're going to stay without a house?
No.
So that's where the savings account will kick in, Savings account for me, I look at it as an emergency fund. Also, it's a bit safe to know that as much as you have a life cover, a funeral cover, investments here and there for your kids, should you die, but it's also important to know that you've got some form of cash stacked up for your kids should you pass on, should you lose your job. Yeah. Right? Because also, should you lose your job, you are able to use a bit of your savings to sustain you until you get another job or until you start a business of your own. Yeah. Right?
Of which that's why the joint account is so important, because under the description of joint account, down the line, there should be a life cover. Right?
I agree.
That's why the second emergency is like you are referring to the savings.
Yeah. And the savings account, Steve Harvey says, of which I think he's spot on. When he says, in the savings account, it must take both your signatures to move the money.
Yes, definitely, yes.
Because I don't want to find, we had $1 million in the account.
Next thing, there's 200,000.
Next thing, we have an emergency, my love.
Yay.
And we need 500,000. We go in there's only 200,000. How? What happens to the 8?
Yeah.
So I think it's important that also it creates trust between you two. It creates accountability as well. So if there's something that I need, that I deem as important or as an emergency, I have to come to you and tell you that, my love, this is what I need to do. So I need to put my hand in the savings and take a bit of money. Let's go get it from the bank and sign. Whereas if we don't do that, when you will be living your life thinking, at least I know that we have $1 million, so I can take a risk. Business-wise, because I know that we still have that $1 million that can back us up. Can't you don't know that I've been spending that money? Yeah. The whole year.
Yeah.
Next thing
you are surprised that there's no money. And it happens. Like we've seen stories where, the guy, for instance, gives the savings to the wife or the girlfriend because he trusts her.
Yeah.
Next day he's been giving, for instance, 15,000 every month, and he told her to save the 5,000. At the end of the year, when I'm in a financial crisis, I come to you and I ask you, can you borrow me 20,000 from that savings? Because I've been giving you part for the past year. Yes. Can you please borrow me that money for your emergency? Next thing, there's nothing, And now you put yourself also in a predicament, And that's why it's important to have that double signature. Exactly. So that we know exactly when it is we're using it, what we're using it for.
It's good because it forces you to be accountable. There's no way you can try. Also, savings are important if you have a family, guys. If you have a family, things come up all the time.
Yeah, and you always have to think long term, guys. For worst case scenario. Obviously, you don't want to put yourself always in a constant bad space, but it's always good to know that Murphy's Law is around, guys. Yeah.
Also something that I've learned from my husband. My husband taught me that it's important to buy things cash. because it's cheaper to buy cash. Whereas if you are buying it car credit, usually there's a lot of interest. You'll end up buying something for double the price, you know. So your thing is always cash is cheap, you know. As much as it's not really cheap, but it's better because you're not going to pay the interest, you know. So savings help with regards to, should your fridge get broken and doesn't work anymore, you are able to go and pick out a fridge at a store. Right? Or for instance, the area you live in, you feel it's not safe anymore. At least even if you do need some sort of credit from the bank, you already have a big deposit to put in. Should you need a car, you can buy it cash as well, you know, and avoid, because now banks will give you a car and say you can pay it over 10 years. How much is it going to be? Even if you bought it at 500,000 over 10 years, how much is it going to be?
It's that thing of people often don't read the fine prints, because you will find, if you do actually do the calculations, you'll find that the interest is usually higher than the installments you're supposed to be paying for just the car itself. For instance, you'll buy a 300,000 car, you'll find that your installments is 3,000, but your interest is 5,000. Never mind there's insurance, never mind there's petrol, never mind there's maintenance on top of that. But 5,000 a lot. Hey, it's a lot, guys. So, you know, do the calculations. You know, for me personally, a house, you can bond it, because you're not going to save that much money in such a short amount of time. You can save a good 10-20% and your transfer and bond costs, right? But for a car, I just feel like, it's better if you buy it cash. You know, depending on and it's also that thing of, like we were saying in the beginning, that what's your rich life, what's my rich life, what is the necessities, because we, in our circumstance, we need a 7-seater, we need a SUV, right? We don't have to go for the latest, we don't have to go for the best brand, but something that's reliable, number one, and something that's affordable, number two. And in that way, let's try and save up so that we can buy it cash, right? You
know, something you also told me was, we used to have this back and forth about bank shop, like accounts from shops, right? My husband says to me, instead of having that account, rather lay by the thing, and then you pay it over. You know, you don't owe anyone. If you fail to pay the lay by, you don't owe anyone. You can just forfeit, right? Instead of always having to buy on credit, because the interest is also crazy.
True.
Either you lay by or you save money to buy the thing. Also, you always say that if you can't afford it 3 times, don't buy it. You can't afford it.
Of course.
If you can't afford to buy those jeans worth 500 rands, and if you can't buy them 3 times, you cannot afford those jeans. You know. So something else you also told me is that with the savings account, saving money is important, because you avoid owing people money that you didn't use.
Of course.
You know, because now buying jeans worth 500 rands, when I buy them on credit, how much am I going to pay?
That's the thing.
You know, and the interest rate right now.
And that's the thing, it goes back to not knowing what you're paying. You know. Remember, now there's people who are scammers that are trying to get the person that they want, right? But businesses, what are they in the business for? For making money. And who are they going to get the money from? From you, obviously. And if you're going to have credit, they're going to charge you for it at the end of the day. Of which, who's making money again? It's them. So think of it logically. You know, sometimes we just think of it as they're selling us a dream and we can afford it on a monthly basis, rather than saving up for it and buying it. You know, so it's important to always suss out what it is that what we can afford and what it is that we need right now.
Yes, true. And guys, you can always wait. Like, you don't always have to buy things now. You know, things can always wait. Like, for instance, the Christmas clothes story. The school uniform story, you know it's going to come definitely every year. You can't run away from that. You can't run away from the winter clothes. They have to be bought, whether you like it or not.
Of
right?
course.
So these things you prep for. You know, I grew up in a household where my parents used to prep for school before January. I was telling my husband the other day that my mom and my dad, they used to buy us stationery, uniform before they bought us Christmas clothes. So around September, October, they would be preparing to buy us whatever thing you need for school. Obviously, stationery, definitely 100%. And then they'll check, do you still have your jersey? Do you still have your shoes for school? And then they buy that. Then they buy Christmas clothes. Then in December, we are all jolly. In January, when the time comes for us to go to school, we have everything, right? Whereas we've seen other kids. I mean, you can also think of someone as you're watching this. You'll see other kids, they won't have stationery for the whole January. They'll only cover their books at the end of January. They'll only have stationery at the end of January. The whole January, the child is borrowing school fees from somebody else. So I think it's best that we try and avoid that. Before we buy those Christmas clothes, let us make sure that we take care of the school things, guys, because you don't want your child to be embarrassed. Having to borrow things every day is not nice.
Yeah, that's a good pointer as a good financial tip, right? So for my case, my father, okay, there were 3 of us. I don't know how he did it, but he did it anyway. He always paid school fees for the whole year one time. Of which, remember, schools will give you a discount. Okay, discount because you're paying for the whole year. Discount because you have a second child and you have a third child, right? Of which I feel like Asians in J like to negotiate. And they always want discounts. When have you not went to a Chinese shop and you haven't seen a discounted price? Yes. There's always discounts. So there's hints there out there to show you that you must negotiate. Always. Try and get a better deal. Always. Even your credit cards, try and negotiate a better term and a better interest rate. I mean, at the end of the day, we're dealing with people here. People you can call up to say, hey, let's discuss. That's how deals are made. Yeah. So it's important to have these disciplines and these practices and these tips for people so that they can go and use them.
Also do learn, guys. Don't shut out everything. And we all grow up with a certain financial education, but it's okay to unlearn some things. When you're older and you realize that, man, actually my husband's home, they did it better. Let me do that for our family because it sounds like it works. Don't force things because I grew up this way. This is how it must be done. My parents did it like this. This is how it must be done. Because in our household, we look at that. Like my husband always told me the thing of my father-in-law paying for the school fees up front. It's a good thing. I'm not going to say because at home they used to pay it on a month-to-month basis. Yes. We mustn't do it. So it's good to always be open-minded. Yes, listen to people and take advice. Yes. The last one is the one that you mentioned. The last account, the third one is your own account. The fourth one is my own account. So what do we do with our own accounts?
It's that
Since we've already taken care of the big things.
That's the thing. So that's why in the perfect setup, those 4 accounts make perfect sense because already you've taken out the needs. You've already taken out the emergency. You've already taken out the cars, the loans, the medical aid, the life insurance and the life covers and everything like that, right? You've done all the needs. So if those are taken care of, you can spoil yourself. I mean, let's not put ourselves like we're in a prison cell that we can't do anything. Remember, we coming into a relationship or we getting into a marriage, right? We were both an individual person. So we used to do our individual things. Yes, now you have to, for instance, do the extra added step of telling the person where you're going, what it is you want to do. And maybe they can join to support you in whatever it is you want to do. But it's important for you to go back to yourself and find yourself during those things that you do and want to do in your spare time that you get. But with us, it's like impossible because we have 4 kids. But you still got to make time for it. But you need it, right? So it's important to have that individual account, even if it's 200 Rand or 500 Rand, whatever it is, or 150, take yourself out for a movie, of which then, the other day we were talking about it, that if you have 150, I have 150, you can take care of the movies. I'll do the popcorns, and stuff, and that's our date for the month. So it's important to have that as well. As much as you might still be doing it with your partner, but it's still important to have your recreational time. I
like what you said about recreation. You always say that in order to pour into other people, your cup must be full. So in order to fill your cup, in order to make sure that your cup is full by filling it, you need to make sure that you do the things that you like. Yes. Like you mentioned, for instance, you're hiking, you're reading and stuff like that. It's just funny that we always say people must do these things individually, but we tend to not do it individually. We always go hiking together. We always go eat together. We'll watch a movie together. But I think it will probably get to a point where we are comfortable enough to do it without each other. Right? Because I feel like the first thing for us is that we like the same things. So, and we also want to experience everything together. Right? Of late, we do try. I do go out with the girls. My husband does go out with the boys every now and then. It's very seldom. But
I'm sure my friends complain even like, yes, this guy.
What's happening?
Yeah, we've always tried to invite him up. In fact, we are going to stop inviting him
because he never shows up. If it's not his wife, it's his children. So, but I think it's important that you get to do your own thing. Also, for small things, you don't always want to be asking your partner for money.
True.
If you see, for instance, okay, the thing is with me, it's different. Like if you want to take care of yourself, you want to do your hair, you want to do your nails, you want to do you want to take care of yourself as a girl, you want to do girly things, you don't always have to ask your partner to do it. But I know that most of us like asking anyway. You know, because for me, I'll have the money to do all these things. But because my husband is going to take me to the salon or the nail bar, I'm going to look at him when it's time to pay, you know. So he always says that my money is my money, but his money is our money.
It's the unfortunate truth, eh? Yeah.
So,
I know guys don't like it. That's why they don't want to commit. Hey.
And that's why guys don't want to go to the salon, because they know they'll end up paying. Because for me, I always look at my husband like, baby, I'm done. They said it's 900. But I've got my own card. I've got my own money in there, but I'm not gonna pay.
Kunzima, guys. Kunzima, hey.
Kunzima, hey. But yeah, I think we can wrap up. I feel like we've had a good conversation. I hope people learned a lot from what we learned as well, because what we're sharing is what we saw from movies, books, podcasts, and stuff. Yeah. And these are the things we literally live by. I think we believe in. So I think.
Yeah, but just my last point is that, you know, we didn't get into other things, deeper things. This was a general perspective of finance and love, right? But also, finance itself and being transparent goes a lot hand in hand with trust and loyalty.
Sure.
Right? I can fully trust you with myself or without myself. If shit was to hit the fan, you'd be able to hold it down, basically, right? And also loyalty. Because you don't want to find yourself getting money from elsewhere and you find out later on that, hey, it was from, or you don't want to find me spending money on another girl or whatever it is. You know, you must know, I must be transparent as possible so that you know where every cent is going, basically.
Yeah.
Besides even my recreational thing, right? It's that thing that we do everything together. So what are the chances? It's just like impossible. Yeah. You know,
even
for us to even get that chance.
I know where you are.
Yeah, it makes me think of the White Chicks, you know, where the first scene where the husband was coming home from work and he came home late because he had a beer with his colleague, right? And she was accusing him of cheating. Mara, it's only been 5 minutes.
That has been out.
He's like, don't you think that I need more than 5 minutes if I was to cheat, you know? So it's that being so transparent that you know every move and everything that your partner spends money on and where they get the money from. Yeah. Right. So yeah, guys, that's my final point.
I think our final point is be transparent.
Be transparent, yeah, and have a plan and be disciplined. Yeah. That's all it is. Yeah. Just my last question to you, love, is what's the best financial advice you got in your life?
Buy everything cash. If you can. No, if you can, buy things cash and not
credit.
Konje, I actually just forgot something that you said. I lost. There's something else that you said, man, about money. You know what's funny? All my financial lessons I feel right now I learned from you. Because I always read books on finance. Yeah, like the buy cash and avoid credit. Oh, the best financial advice you've taught me. Always do your best and make sure that you use other people's money.
I taught you well, eh?
You told me that, always use. That's the first one. Okay. Always use people's money. The second one, try your best to avoid credit and buy things cash. Everything can wait. You don't have to buy it today.
Awesome. You heard it from the first lady, guys.
I'm the learner. He's the master. He's the lecturer.
Okay.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you guys enjoyed this. We will see you guys on episode 4. I hope you guys take care of each other and take care of yourselves. We love you. Adios.